I just heard Gary Brecka says that ice bath and fasting shed melted fat. I can't wait to look like Mike Tyson. I just heard Adi Abiu says that fasting kills cancer cells and also can cure you from your cholesterol. All this time, I thought it was because of my diet. I just did a 20-hour fast, by the way. I just heard Andrew Huberman said that fasting increases mental clarity and focus. Okay, that one is true, but the other ones were bullshit. Here's the thing. Fasting can help you lose fat and become healthier. Heck, it might even free you from your cholesterol and blood pressure medication. And it could even make your expecto patronum bigger. You know? Magical wand? But it's not in the way you think, because most of the things you see or hear about fasting on social media is completely bullshit. Some claims are just outright lies. In this video, I'm going to give you the truth about how fasting could actually benefit your health and how you could get a lot of those same health benefits without having to fast until you fucking hallucinate. Why should you listen to me? Well, unlike many of these health gurus spouting personal anecdotes, I am going to give you data, hard facts, and science. And I'm not going to give you that type of science that are from data that are done on mice running on little wheels. The data I'm referring to is from humans, like just you and me, right? Unless you're also an AI. I'm making this video because I wasted 6 months of my life skipping lunch and breakfast for the wrong benefits. You see, intermittent fasting does have its health benefit, but none of the ones I actually was looking for. So if I can give you the correct information and save you from wasting weeks or even months of your life, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, okay? Let's debunk some myths. You might not know this yet, but autophagy has become a marketing trick used by these health gurus to make themselves look smart. They throw the term around to make it sound like it's your body's self-cleansing process and that it will kill off all the cancer cells, because it sounds impressive, right? But listen. Fasting doesn't reset all the damage you've done to your body like a reset button on a computer. It doesn't. What autophagy really is that it recycles old and misfolded proteins. And guess what? Fasting isn't the only way you can achieve it. Exercise increases autophagy. Calorie deficit increases autophagy. In fact, there's more evidence, human evidence, showing that exercise and maintaining a caloric deficit increases autophagy than there are evidence of fasting increases autophagy. Another myth is that fasting makes you more insulin sensitive and therefore boost your metabolism. So sure, fasting might boost your insulin sensitivity, but you know what also boosts your insulin sensitivity? Losing weight. So WL is for weight loss, F is for fasting. IS is for insulin sensitive. So if you're shedding pounds through fasting and become more insulin sensitive, how do you know if it's the fasting or if it's just lost weight that made you more insulin sensitive? There's no evidence that's showing that fasting makes people more insulin sensitive long term than plain old calorie restriction. This line represents your glucose levels and this line represents how long you've been fasting for. Here's the thing. When your glucose levels gets too low due to prolonged fasting, your body will hit itself with adrenaline and cortisol, and that will lift your glucose levels up again. It will give you more energy, and adrenaline, that's what people are experiencing when they have been fasting for a long time, because it makes you feel a lot more alert and focused. This is from an evolutionary standpoint, your body's way to saying that you need to go to hunt for food because it thinks you're starving, because remember, your glucose levels are low. Now, this state would be great if you were out hunting or running from a saber-toothed tiger, but if you're 18 hours into a fast and stuck in traffic, it's just gonna stress you out more than you need. When it comes to testosterone, I just heard some crazy cat lady say that fasting could increase your testosterone with 1300%.
We also see in men 1300% increase in testosterone just from somewhere between a 13 to 15 hour fast. 13% increase in natural testosterone stores.
What the heck are testosterone stores? Is it a place where I can store my testosterone and take it out when I need it? Like when I have had a bad night of sleep, or when I've gonna work out so I can get more gains, or right before hanky-panky time? That's right, I can't. I remember now, because it's fictional. Testosterone stores doesn't exist. When you look at the actual research of testosterone and fasting, you can see that fasting has either no effect on testosterone or even lowers testosterone. Fasting might impact your testosterone negatively because it's a stressor, and high cortisol levels isn't optimal for testosterone. If somebody increases their testosterone due to fasting, it will be because the weight loss and fat loss or testosterone production or hormone production are most optimal for men when we are usually between 12 or 19% body fat. The average Joe's body fat is 30 to 35%. So if somebody increases their testosterone because of fasting, it will likely be due to that they have lost some weight in the process. Alright, let's talk about how fasting really works, because fasting can help you lose fat, but it's in the same way calorie restriction does. You see, when we skip breakfast and sometimes even lunch, we usually consume less food throughout the day. Even though our meals might be bigger because we have fewer meals, when you're doing intermittent fasting, usually your total calories throughout days are less than if you didn't do intermittent fasting. And over time, when you have fewer calories, you lose weight. And when you lose weight, you tend to lose fat. And when we lose fat, we tend to get healthier. I know. Shocker, right? When we lose fat, usually it means improved blood pressure, better cholesterol profile, and higher testosterone. And if you lose enough fat around your padding area, which is the area between your belly button and your magical wand, this could actually make your expecto patronum look bigger. Another benefit with fasting is that prolonged fasting can increase focus and awareness, but not because you're cleansing your body and mind and therefore you feel so awake afterwards. That's just some bullshit that comes from these health gurus' imagination, I reckon. The real reason is because of your body's survival mechanism. Like mentioned, when you haven't eaten for many hours, your gut cortisol will start to drop. And when it gets too low, your body will hit itself with adrenaline and cortisol to raise it back up. This will give you more energy, and also adrenaline and cortisol will make you super aware, sharp, and focused. Another benefit with fasting is that it builds mental toughness. Now, I've been through some tough times throughout my life. I was bullied until high school. I played football with a broken rib once because I had a motorbike crash beforehand. Adrenaline is a hell of a thing. I've had the craziest food poisoning in Sri Lanka while having to take a train for 6 hours. And yes, the toilet on a train in Sri Lanka is what you expect it to be. I was forced to watch all the Bridget Jones movies in one day during Christmas Eve because of my ex. That was fucking brutal. But going out for lunch and watching my friends eat delicious eggs Benedict while I sip on black coffee on a Saturday? That's just pure torture. It's gotta be one of the hardest things we can do as humans, I reckon. If it's one thing I want you to take from this video is that regardless if it's intermittent fasting, a vegan diet, or a carnivore diet, a good old calorie restriction, the most impactful thing you can do for your health and longevity is to lose body fat. You can check out the link in the description to learn the most effective way and, more importantly, the most sustainable way to lose body fat for free. This type of information, a coach would charge you hundreds of dollars for it, but I'm gonna give you for free. Like I mentioned earlier, One of the hardest things about intermittent fasting is the timing of when you can eat. It might prevent you from enjoying a pizza when you're watching a movie at the end of the day, or if you're like me and my friends, missing out on pizza for brunch and lunch. It's never a bad time for pizza. But yeah, a shorter eating window can definitely hurt your social life. I remember I was on this date in Bali. It was a Tinder date. We were watching the sunset and she asked me if I wanted to grab some coconut and I said no. Later she asked me if I wanted to grab some ice cream and I had to explain to her that I was doing intermittent fasting and that the only thing that I could eat outside my eating window was her. Okay, I didn't say the last part, but she didn't understand why anyone would put themselves through that kind of misery. She probably thought I was fucking crazy. And I never heard back from her again. So the moral of the story is that if a girl asks you for ice cream, say yes. Another con with fasting is that it can definitely hinder your performance, especially if you do CrossFit, high rocks, or training that needs a lot of fuel. Fasting can also lead to muscle loss. Less meals throughout the day usually also leads to less protein throughout the day. And that is a massive L. We'll get into detail to why protein is so important. And for people who claim that fasting isn't about losing weight, it's about health and longevity. Experts like Dr. Rhonda Patrick and Peter Attia, who are well respected and known for being unbiased, and who certainly know a lot more about longevity than most of us will ever do. Dr. Rhonda Patrick used to practice intermittent fasting, or meal skipping as she liked to call it. And Dr. Peter Attia was once extreme in his fasting approach. He used to do 7 to 8 days water fast every quarter. They have both changed their opinions on fasting now. Here's what they have to say about it today.
It's easier for people to implement. They think of counting their calories. It's just too much work. Yeah. But when they're like, oh, I'll just not eat, they're performing caloric restriction, but and it is an effective way to lose weight. But like you said, when you start to get like a little bit leaner, up to 30% of the weight loss can come from muscle if you're not doing resistance training.
First off, why have you changed your approach to intermittent fasting?
The biggest drawback is the reduction in protein intake. This has been borne out in the literature. So we've seen clinical trials that have documented this, that first and foremost, the time-restricted feeding within that 24-hour period doesn't seem to produce any benefits above the caloric restriction that it brings. That's a very important caveat. It's just meaning there is nothing magical about the time restriction beyond the calories that are being restricted.
I'm not saying that fasting isn't good for your health, because for majority of people, it absolutely is. My point is that it's about losing weight. That's where you would get the health benefits. I have nothing against fasting. I'd even recommend it for weight loss. But losing weight without losing fat in the process is about as useful as a priest with a 10-inch penis. Pretty useless. That's why it's essential to work out regularly. If you don't work out regularly when you are losing weight, you'll just end up becoming skinny fat. So check out this video, because I'm gonna show you the most effective way to burn fat in the gym. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay healthy, keep thriving. I hope I see you over there.